Hi guys, this is Life Stace on Storytime Part 8. So I spoke about the social worker being there and threatening that once she leaves she won't be coming back if it didn't come out from under the table, and that's exactly what she did. The case was then closed. The 2 weeks transition or temporary trial wasn't actually ever a thing. It was always going to be a permanent residence, which I don't understand at all because everything about me changed. However, I know I've spoken little bits about how my mum's boyfriend was with me and whatnot. I'm going to speak a little bit more about the first few months of me living at my mum's and how it was there, and going visiting my foster parents then, which was a complete turnaround to what everything used to be like, So, my mum's boyfriend, he would used to blindfold me, and him and his mates would tell me to walk, and I'd start walking and they'd trip me up and they'd call me Bugs Bunny because I had goofy teeth. They would call me matchstick legs, say my legs are like golf clubs, and they'd all just be laughing. But I was consistently hurting myself because every time they tripped me up I was falling, and like I was putting my hands out but I didn't know where I was in the room. I couldn't see anything, that hurt. I remember the first couple of weeks of me being at my mum's, I was chased up the stairs and I was running that fast that I banged my head on something. I don't even know what I banged my head on, but it really hurt. And I remember crying, and I remember my mum's boyfriend saying, don't be soft, get out my face, go away, whatever, shut up crying. Eventually my mum did take me to the hospital. Luckily everything was okay, but yeah. I remember he used to lock me in the boot of a car with his friends, and because I didn't know how to unlock the boot from the inside, they would all just sit there, like stand outside the car laughing, like constantly, and I'd be getting stressed because I felt trapped that I was in this car, and I couldn't physically get out. Anyway, once a couple of the friends went in, one of the friends, he was still outside and he showed me how to do it. So next time they did it, and I actually got out, it weren't funny anymore, like the game, it stopped. Do you know what I mean? The meal times, that was constant, that was constant throughout. If I didn't like what was on the table, then I didn't eat. But because of my eating disorder, I weren't actually being an awkward child. I just physically couldn't eat the foods they was giving me, and he wasn't even trying to get to know like my diet or what I liked or anything like that. So that was really hard as well. I got bought an hamster and I got attached with it, obviously because I lost everything else that I knew, So having a hamster, it was like my little friend, and he took the hamster cage downstairs in the kitchen and he shouted me down. And as I've got like downstairs, the stairs was like cornered, so you go down some steps and then you go around and go down the other steps. So I've just got to this bit, like the second lot of steps, like more near the bottom of the stairs, and it was directly in front of the kitchen, and all I seen was him holding this hammer over my hamster's cage, threatening to kill my hamster with this hammer. I was crying high pitched on the stairs, like begging him not to do it. Anyway, he let me take my hamster upstairs, and a couple of days later, my hamster weren't moving. He'd put bleach in my hamster water, so my hamster died, which I really struggled with, because it was kind of the only thing I had, so I attached myself to it. So yeah, that was hard. He would say, how do I know that he's not my dad? Because he was around at the time that, he knew my mum around the time that she conceived, which I don't think is true. He used to start saying things about me having a broken leg when I was a baby and blaming certain people for it, which is when that started to come to light to me that I had injuries as a young child. Which was confusing, and then obviously it put things in my head like who would hurt me back then, like why and whatnot. And then I was going through this now, and when I went to my foster parents for my visits there, I don't know why, I don't know whether it was through fear or whatnot, but I used to just stand in like doorways staring at them, really wanting to tell them what was going on and what he was doing. And nothing would come out of my mouth. And I wish it did, but it wouldn't. And I just felt like I had no one to turn to. And the more I was going down, the more I was realising that, like, my stuff was slowly disappearing out of the house. And to the point where I didn't even have a bed there no more. I was sleeping on her bed in my mum's bedroom. And that was really hard. Because every time I was going there, I was clutching on the hope that I had some of my old life. And that was being stripped away as well. And then the man from the back, he just got with a girl on my mum's street, so he started coming to the house as well, which was confusing. He was really good friends with my mum's boyfriend, and they knew each other from being kids. So that was really confusing, you know, and there was just so much going on, and I just couldn't understand why they wanted to remove me, like, why he wanted to hurt me, why my mum was just so quiet, and I was just in this strange dynamic that I wasn't used to. School life had completely changed, you know, I didn't want to be involved in anything anymore. I was so embarrassed about my home life that I kind of, like, just withdrew, and I didn't want to be attached to my friends anymore because I felt like anyone who got close to, I was going to lose. And part of me as well, in all honesty, was a little bit jealous that no one else's life had changed. But my life had not only changed, but now I was going through all this, you know, in such a short space of time. Like, I was like 10, 11, and this was happening. So it was a really difficult transition anyway, you know, never mind with all the added on top. But yeah, so that was the first couple of months at my mum's, you know, and my mum's boyfriend was constantly telling me that once the 6-week holidays come, I won't be seeing my foster parents anymore because I won't need to, and I won't be at the primary school, so I won't be able to see them there. And it was just a constant, like, higher power battle. Like, he just constantly wanted to hurt them, or me, or both. But I was the one really hurting. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's the Life Stace Non-Storytime Part 8. Thank you again, everyone, for listening. Thank you all for your support. This is really hard for me to relive, but I'm really trying my hardest. If you could please give me a like, follow, and a share, I appreciate it.